Okay, I think I'm good. I don't have a card, so I can't record. I think so. Tells me it's recording and supposedly we're streaming, so.
Did we turn this on now?
It's gotta be out.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're good, don't bang that if it's not good for it. Okay, I think we're good.
It's 2:02. I'll call the Pelican Reserve Advisory Committee meeting June 12th to order. Grant, rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Marty Mantonfeld present.
Alan Steinbeck here. Ed Hedges.
Patricia Zimmerman.
And Laura's here from staff.
And we have Peggy online, so do you want to make a motion to allow her to fully participate remotely due to exceptional circumstances?
I'll make a motion to allow Peggy to participate due to extenuating circumstances.
A second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Does that mean Peggy gets to run the meeting?
If you want to run it, she can absolutely run it remotely, but now she can vote, so.
Thank you, though.
Do we have any public comments?
No.
No public comments.
I make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of March 27th for the Safety and Security Subcommittee meeting minutes.
We have a second.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
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 Financial report. This is for April.
Yes, I don't have names yet.
Yeah.
I just got those late yesterday.
Laura just got
I've been on meetings all day,
Yeah.
so.
May's out on the financial report from the board out about 3 hours ago, 4 hours
Yeah.
ago.
So I haven't had a chance to do this yet, but the
So-
financials are out there if you want to go look at them, just this is not out there yet.
So I basically plugged them into my spreadsheet, so what I just handed out to everybody was a look at May's. Laura doesn't have it digitally to put up there, but I will thank her and Infomart for getting the transfers made in May so that basically shows our capital reserves at 2.3 million, 100,000 on emergency reserves, landscaping at 245, and then safety and security and ponds at almost just under 100,000 each. So all those transfers that we made at our last meeting actually are reflected in the May financials. So it's nice to be caught up. For Peggy's benefit, there's approximately 41,000 assessments still outstanding that we might see in revenue. Otherwise, most of the revenue is here.
Okay.
We've earned 115,000 in interest through May. So our hope was that our interest would cover our 200,000 shortfall due to the assessment calculation change at the end of last year, but we may be a little short from that. But with, as of the end of May, our fund balance surplus is $483,000. And if you include, that's if everybody spends their budgets.
So the $260,000 for the new administration building, we're not going to spend this fiscal year, is that correct?
That's the next line on there, which is the fund balance surplus with the unspent admin building. we basically have increases that everybody spends their budget except for the admin building, which we don't anticipate getting any charges for that this year. We'll have about $750,000 in fund surplus that's not in designated reserves.
So we can take that money, since we're not spending it this year, put it back into reserves, and then assess everybody the $265,000 in 2026 budget, right?
It's actually.
That's our intent.
It's in undesignated reserves right now. I mean, it's in undesignated funds right now.
But you
that's-
never took it out
Right.
of the reserve.
Right,
You authorized it, but it's still there, so it never came out.
okay.
So,
So next year, we're gonna have to, if we're gonna spend that 265,000, we can assess everybody to 265. So we're transparent about the cost of this new admin building to all the members in Pelican Preserve.
can we hold that till we talk about the budget?
The 265 without force, it's gone up. It's no longer 265.
I think it might confuse things if we talk about that as part of the budget. I knew that budget was coming up so that everybody kind of knows where we are. We've got 2.3 million in capital reserves after we paid off the bond. But we've got basically we should have at least 750,000 in undesignated fund balances at the end of this budget year. I mean, it may, because I anticipate Doug's going to spend his budget, safety and security is probably going to spend their budget with the streetlight funds. Landscaping will probably underspend theirs, which will go into their landscaping reserves. So, does anybody have any other questions on the budget? Peggy, I know you don't have that copy in front of you, but I don't know if it made sense or not.
Yeah, it does. It does. I was looking at it yesterday or today, one of the two.
So we don't have to take any action on this, so what's the next agenda item?
Your year-to-date percent is what's been spent year-to-date, right?
Yes.
All right. Would it be helpful to have another column, what should be the percentage? In other words.
Well, we're at 66% of the year through the
Yeah,
through the year.
yeah, but that's,
So everybody's running in good shape so far. What I didn't have for May was the encumbered fund balances yet. So
I
hadn't posted those out there.
yeah, I was just used to budget sheets that showed the percentage that it should be.
We don't
according
budget
to-
by month, so that would never apply.
Okay,
I guess because it fluctuates month to month. We don't budget by month, we have an annual budget. So as long as you don't go over, there isn't, you should be at 50% or well, I mean, wages. Technically, I mean, that would really be the only thing that you could gauge or for contracts. But any other expenses, you may not have any until the very end of the year, or you may have them all at the beginning of the year, so we don't budget by
Right.
month.
so this is intuitive then, where the yellow you're showing is over. It's intuitive that it should be 66%.
Yeah. The board spent a little bit more than what they've budgeted.
Okay, all right.
At this point in time.
Is it raining?
Well, that was me.
No,
trying.
that's probably Bob's papers rustling because we have an area mic.
Oh, got it. Okay. I was gonna say, wow, that's a lot of rain.
No, that was Bob rustling papers.
I get blamed for everything.
Well, it was because you
I
stopped,
know.
when it's quiet, so. This is
Laura's
our
got
next
the
item.
landscape up.
Are there any questions, or does anybody want to chime in on the landscape committee, who was here to speak to it, so.
No.
We'll see how this reflects to the one that you have.
What do you mean?
Like, this is Ed's, right?
Mhm.
And so the ones that GSCDD has is gonna look like this?
The copy that I put out,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's pretty similar,
yeah.
just.
Ed
it
paints
just
a better
doesn't have
picture,
some
mine
of
doesn't
these.
look as
Okay.
bad.
All right,
Yeah.
just wanna see is that what I'm looking at?
I don't have the stuff in between the two blockbusters,
Gotcha.
that are- yeah.
Okay, got it.
Because they're reflected in the financials, so I don't.
Thank you.
So if nothing for landscaping, I guess we can go to the next one.
Safety and security update.
That all looks good.
I mean, just for everybody's, has the agreement been signed with Florida Power and Light yet for the streetlight?
No, I do have a small update on that. We did find out that Florida Power and Light cannot, technically, they're not allowed to remove light poles on private property, so we're working out to split, it won't exceed the total cost. We have to like subcontract the pole removal with another company, and then, so it won't exceed the, well, we were guaranteed that, but no, that's why it hasn't been signed yet, because they have
Is
to
that
revise it.
because it's on GSCDD, the right of way property?
That was, Chelsea got a call from Eric and he said, yeah, we can't take the poles out, you're gonna have to subcontract it, but they're gonna reduce their part of it by the cost of the pole, so the total will stay the same, it'll just get paid to two places instead of one. But that's why it's not signed yet.
Okay.
Didn't push out the
Can we-
finish date. Still same finish date?
Yeah, nothing
Yeah.
changed with timing, no, it's just that FPL will only be doing the installation and not the removal, they're doing everything but the pole removal. And we have to have that with a different vendor,
So we know what the finish date is, do we know when the start date is?
but that'll depend on when we get everything signed.
Right.
So, I still think technically we're looking at starting sometime first quarter of '26, so January, February, maybe somewhere in there. They're supposed to be done a year from now, but, because I said our whole project, and we had a lot more than you guys have, took about 5 months, so.
Okay.
All right, are we good on this one?
And so they, just for everybody's, they are looking at planning to do Pelican from tree line to the four-way stop next year. So we'll be pretty busy in that stretch with the streetlights being replaced in the summer and then sometime in there resurfacing Pelican Boulevard, so.
But it'll look really good when it's done.
Okay. So next one. Ponds,
Doug is here.
Doug is here.
I'll make this short because I got two other things on the agenda to cover. Doug Zander, President of the Ponds Group. I got a few things here. The budget you already seen. This is April. The two items we'll discuss later is that we have an RFP for the pond maintenance. That is an agenda item later on. And also to talk about the bollards for the boardwalk. There was some confusion at the last meeting, and I want to clarify where that is. The status of 47 and 48 has basically been completed, the bank restoration. They're planting the plants in the next 2 weeks on the banks on both ponds. And just a note, Joe Schofield came to our last meeting and gave us a big compliment for how good a job was done. So that was a shock in itself. We actually had
After trashing us for a year.
we actually had to stop the meeting for a while for everyone to get their breath back. Pond 43, Jim Latham's leading an effort. This will be the next project we do next year. We've already talked about it at the board, where we're going to spend about 300,000 budget, 300,000 of budget for next year and 300 for the prior, or get a loan for 300 and pay it back the following year. But we're getting together the RFP to be able to execute this next year. You have to start early. but we've got the process started. The thing here on conservation and aeration, our contracts there, the 2 ITQs, the bids came in yesterday. I have not seen them yet. I just got a link when I was sitting here from Randy that bids are in. So we have 2 different selection committees to look at that. And we'll be back to you at the next in July with a recommendation for both of them. The only other things I have on here is littoral planning on 36. That will begin next week. This is to complete that big restoration we did on the big pond 36. The last thing to do that was part of the process was to plant littorals, which had to be delayed until the rainy season. Next week those will go in. It's with Solitude, which is about $22,000. And you can see how they're going to do it. It's an aggressive planting. Any question on that? You want me to just roll right into the bollards?
Doug, I have a question.
Yes.
What is the communication to the neighborhoods surrounding 36?
I'd have to talk to Jim. I don't know what it's been. It's probably not been done yet.
Okay, it would be nice to let them know that that's what we're doing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Next thing I think on the agenda was the columns. A little bit about where we are, some of the confusion. This was a few months back voted to request South Florida Water Management District to change the permit to allow ADA capable devices, handicap devices and electric devices on the boardwalk. That was approved by the Ponds Group, approved by Ppac back then, and it was also approved by the Board of Supervisors. They went forward with a request to get the permit changed. The permit was changed to allow us to be able to allow electric ADA capable devices on the boardwalk.
On that portion.
Well, yeah, yes, but I'll go to how we're going to, there's the bollards are. But it is not allowed electric devices and golf carts are not allowed to park there. So it's going to be handicap only access. You had a question?
Not allowed. Do you have a copy of that? Because what we had at the last Ppac meeting was all the steps that we had to go through to get the permit changed.
That's been done. The permit has been, from them, have come back and approved our permit. We have to install 2 bollards out there.
Do we have a copy of that?
The approval is pending this, it's not done yet. They've approved it pending the installation of these bollards. We don't have.
We have to install we have to give them, the next step is that we need to get the bollards, which by the way are 2 of them are less than 100.
Excuse me, they must have sent something that said, if you do this, then it can be for handicap, but not electric, something what you're stating.
Well, I wasn't involved with the request from South Florida Water Management District for the request to act. I think you were, Bob.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just.
I'm with you.
Yeah, I think we need to get up to date.
Yeah,
Well, no, I mean,
I'm just trying to understand the documentation rather than.
For the record, state your name, please.
Bob Gefford, from Brenner Drive. What has been done is, in order to avoid a potential ADA non-compliance issue, South Florida Water Management was approached to say, if we allow only this portion of the boardwalk for electric only, not gasoline powered golf carts, is this acceptable and in compliance? The answer came back is yes, you can't put gasoline up there, and they can't go anywhere within the conservation area, but they can go from the Sienna side entrance to the main gallery area.
Was that just verbal or was there some?
Oh, no, it's written.
No,
It's all written. Tetra Tech had to do quite a study to approve the environmental impact. We weren't going to disturb the frogs and the gators and the birds. So all of those things, the precursors for the request to even be considered, is now behind us. So South Florida said, okay, you have the approval, subject to the removal of the 1 hour.
What I'm asking, you're saying they said Is
It's
it
written,
writing?
it's written, oh, absolutely, it's all written.
The staff has the documents.
Well, that's what I was asking, is,
Yeah,
This
it's
staff
copy
does
of it.
not, but I've requested.
Chelsea has it.
Okay.
I've got it. I've seen it.
I'm sorry, I just, a
What-
lot of,
I know. It's
he
all,
said, she said, they
no,
said.
no, it's all documented. But the only point I want to make sure is we all understand why we did it,
No, I know,
aside from having people in it.
I know, but it's just, at last meeting.
That was all screwed up and I did not get in the middle of the street and I heard all that.
But that's what I was trying to understand, because we were led to believe that we still had to go through all those steps.
I heard all that and I knew it was wrong, didn't say a word.
There's a one-page form with 2 dates on it. Is the only thing that we are required to go back. It's the commencement date of when we're going to start to install those and when it will be completed. And that's about it.
It's a multi-page report, but you're certainly available everywhere.
And
Yes,
How many bollards do we need?
2.
Are we repurposing the one that's already there?
Now it needs to stay.
No, that
That
won't
one
be
stays,
removed.
you don't have any
That
access.
that one,
Oh, that's right,
the Sienna one will be removed. The
Right.
reason is they're embedded in concrete. And we're going, and that's where there's a concrete thing when you come into the boardwalk.
Right.
They're embedded in there. So that the ballard that's there will be taken out. There's a cap on it that will be closed. Okay, so it will,
At ground level.
there won't be a hole at ground level. The ballards we're putting in are being bolted into the actual boards of the boardwalk
Okay,
itself,
so we
which are
can't
different
repurpose the
ballards.
other one.
And if you can see there, the little thing at the bottom,
I see.
that there's 4 bolts that will be put into the boards with some reinforcing boards underneath. And that's what will be done on the way, so that you won't be able to go to the Brokey Center, complete that thing, and you won't be able to go down to, I don't know what you would call it, the observation or wherever the end of the thing. 2 of them are, on Amazon right now, they're $85 for 2 of them.
So going down to the observation area,
Yes,
is 2 enough to block that off?
One also.
one from golf carts, yes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
one.
One in each
One
place.
And it'll be
Yeah.
located appropriately so a wheelchair can still do it.
Yeah.
But a compliant golf cart will not be able to get in.
So that's where it is right now. I mean, the thing was to come back with a plan to see if we needed to Tetra Tech do an engineering study of how to install them. And when we got into it, it was 4 bolts. I don't know if you have to have Tetra Tech do an engineering study to install 4 bolts. And so we're not, all we're doing is spending $85 and Paul and Mark, the maintenance group, and is going to physically install them. I had them out there looking at it. They agreed that they will install them. The plan would be to start to get the projects completed this month.
Make sure they're stainless steel.
Yeah, they are not plastic.
And the bollard we pulled out is still good. We'll save it
Yeah.
for some future
Yeah.
purpose.
well, we might, in case we ever reverse our decision, we can put them back.
I don't think, well, see, that's the funny part of it. It's not our decision.
It's kind of a side issue, but this is golf cart access for handicap accessibility.
Correct.
And I know the community association is working on a sticker.
They're available.
On golf carts for handicap. I mean, to me, there's a whole communication issue that we have to, and is there any, I don't think there's probably any way to police it, but that it should
That's the
only
weakness.
be to golf carts that have a handicap sticker on them that should be allowed in there.
Absolutely. That should be. the
There'll be a
only time you're
sign, there'll be a sign that says that when you enter into, from the Sienna side. As far as education, I always, yeah, that's maybe a little bit of a hot button. I know we need education to tell people to stop at stop signs. I mean, I don't know what type of education you need, where there's a sign that says ADA compliant only, and someone that's not there drives in. We are not going to enforce it, unless you want to.
Should it say that there should be PPCA handicap sticker?
Well, we don't want a 4-foot sign that
No, I
says
know,
all that
but-
stuff, or so small you can't read it. I
The
just,
district will say no to that, Ed, because they don't want anything to do.
yeah,
do-
no one wants,
with golf carts.
no one
with
wants
any
to,
of them, with
no
any
one
golf
wants to police it.
I know, but
We're opening Pandora's box.
everybody's gonna start.
Voluntary
writing golf
compliance.
carts in there.
There's already people complaining about it. that are ADA compliant that says they can't get in.
Oh, we got a lot of complaints about that.
Yeah. No, I just had one last week.
So Doug?
Yes,
Doug, could you work with Patricia and help craft some kind of communication that could go out?
Okay.
That would describe what we're working with?
okay. That's fine.
And
Patricia, is that okay? Is that,
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
PPCA
Okay,
won't give
thank
you a sticker if you don't have it on your vehicle.
It has
In
to
other
be-
words,
right.
your automobile license plate says you're handicapped. That's the criteria. It is, I go up, I got a handicap flag and I want it.
Okay, I had the Chelsea Ford with me, I can't share it because it's in my Teams. It says, this permit authorizes minor modifications to the northern portion of the elevated boardwalk within Conservation Area 6. This permit modification is to authorize the use of electric golf carts for residents with disabilities to this limited portion of the boardwalk. Bollards will be installed where applicable to prohibit the electric golf carts from accessing the southern and eastern walkways that are for pedestrian use only. Please refer to exhibit 1 for additional. There's a map that shows where they have to go.
And how many pages is that, Laura? It's a lot of pages.
16 pages for
Yeah, it's a
the
lot.
permit, and then, yeah, there's drawings also.
It's a government document.
maybe we could get that copy that put out on SharePoint, the Ponds group or something, so we have access to reference.
Okay.
Yeah, good idea.
You know, Peter Saul was going to want it.
All right, as I tried to find
Yeah.
things out on South Florida.
I'll be back
permitting,
soon.
And it's
Forget it.
impossible
Is
to
the,
find.
I have a
Okay.
question, is the other path going through the preserve that's not elevated, does that restrict internal combustion golf carts?
Not at all.
No,
Not at all?
you're talking about the one around the outside,
The perimeter.
No,
the
no,
perimeters?
no,
It's all elevated, isn't it?
no. I'm talking about the one that comes off Pelican Preserve Boulevard.
That's the perimeter, mechanical.
Yeah, that's a golf cart path around the outside of the perimeter of the board there. It's not called the boardwalk, but,
No, sir, that's not what I'm talking
okay, where are you talking?
about. I'm talking about the one that cuts through and goes behind Vincenza.
That's the perimeter road.
Yeah, that's a perimeter golf
That
cart.
thing goes around the entire, you can start on Pelican Reserve Boulevard, enter on either of the two axes, and you loop around.
And there is no, there's no,
Restriction there.
they can be gas powered in there.
But so in Pelican, resident-owned golf carts have to be electric. It's
Yeah.
only maintenance staff that
Yeah.
can be non-electric.
So the elevated portion of the boardwalk, is there limits to the tools that can be used in that area? Do they have to be electric or can they be gas also?
You mean like a gas blower?
Yeah, the leaf blowers.
I don't know the answer to that.
I don't think you want to ask that question.
Because right now they use gas.
Yeah, well, they could use battery, but I think they probably use
It's
gas.
so infrequent.
I know.
But if you ask the tree huggers, you might have to go buy battery equipment. So
Yeah,
that's not bad.
I think you're probably right, Bob.
Yeah, I wouldn't answer.
I'm behind on this, obviously. Was this voted on last month? Because I wasn't here last.
Several months ago.
Been evolving.
And it wasn't unanimous, our Ponds group wasn't unanimous either.
No, I remember trying to get the permit and so on and so forth, but I guess I didn't realize that you're gonna, so where exactly are you gonna install these? I know you're gonna do it on the south end, one of them on the south end, right?
Well, one of them is if you come in from Sienna, and then there's that area where there's some tables, there used to be the observation above for bird watching and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah,
If you went towards the Brokey Center, right there, as you go into, leave that circle, one's gonna be put there,
okay.
and one's gonna be put the other way, just when, from that circle, it goes out to the roundabout.
So you're letting the, I hate to use the word handicap, but you're letting those folks come in from the Sienna side to
The round circle area, but that's it.
And then you're putting a bollard there.
Right.
So they
Correct.
can't go beyond that, okay.
And part of the reason is the boardwalk's just not wide enough to allow the whole
Yeah,
access.
yeah, okay, thank you.
All right, I'll be back.
Oh, no,
Oh, you got another question?
yeah, I do.
Okay.
Do we
What,
need to
what
vote
did you
on
do
this?
with that gator meat when you took them up the pond?
Gateway served it to their
Oh, God.
employees.
They had a barbecue.
They did a good job.
Oh, you know what
I
I'm
wouldn't
talking
want
about?
to, that was a
Which
bad,
one?
We only had one.
they had a
We had
bigger
two.
one.
Well, yeah, but yours were over here.
No.
You got 3 now?
Yeah, you guys had one and we had two.
It was quite a sight when we looked out our lanai and saw this thing floating out back in the pond back there, but I appreciate somebody coming out there to do
It
something.
actually, in years past, we just said nature will take its course, because that's what,
There they are.
this,
They're under ponds.
yeah.
Tastes like chicken.
Yeah, I don't know, they did, but they just said, push it out into the pond and let nature take its course. That's what the state told us, the wildlife told us, but, yeah, Chelsea and Paul and the maintenance team did it.
Yeah, that was, we appreciate that very much.
Yeah, and just so you know, it would have been $699 to have someone come out and pick it up.
Yeah.
If we had not used the maintenance group. Can I sit down now?
There's the map, Alan, so you can see where the bollards
okay.
are.
Great,
That
thank
would be
you.
good for in any communication, because it's
Include that, absolutely.
north and south and directions in there.
Yeah, who knows what's there? Yeah.
It's in the ponds folder under the boardwalk permit modification folder
Yep.
on the SharePoint site, so you all have access. You should all have access.
Ask and you shall receive.
Point of clarification, do we need to vote on
No.
purchasing these pond bollards?
No,
No,
because it's
just go to the
required
ponds
of the
committee.
permit, so, yeah.
I was asked by Tom Shane, I was saying that he's
$72.99.
definitely against this,
Right.
you know, so at least I'm putting it out there. That was his, wanted me to put that message out, so.
My question is, do you wanna do A first, or do you wanna do B first? Do you wanna just go ahead and do the Pelican Reserve pond maintenance thing and then do the budget, or do you wanna do the budget and then do that? It's up to you. Like
Which,
flip flop B and A, or do you wanna do them in the order? We have, I'll blow it up again. You could just do Doug's right away, just do B first and then A.
let's let Doug do his thing.
Okay.
Let's do B first.
Then you're done.
Pass this out. Randy didn't include this. This is the criteria that bids were judged on the different. Pass these down. This criteria that's in front of you was in the RFP. When we released the RFP, this was what the vendors were told how the criteria for selecting who we were going with would do. We had a ponds group selected a group of 4 individuals. That was the selection advisory group committee. Jim Latham led that group. We had 2 other of the members of the ponds group, Harold Dagnall and Al Slicker. And then we had 1 member from staff, Gateway staff, Stephanie McLean. So we had 4 members of the group. We got 9 bids from vendors. And what you see, if you go up a little more, when you went through that selection thing, go up so you can see the points each of them received. There's yeah, I think there's 9 there. Those are how the rating, which I was very, very surprised with. 4 individuals on the selection crew independently went through the criteria that's in front of you, and they came out with the same ranking of the top 2, which I was surprised, especially with Stephanie, because she's not been here as long, she's not been involved on the Pelican side, but when she went through and looked at the vendors and came back, she had the same ranking that the other 3 members of the group did. So this is the recommendation of the selection group plus the recommendation of staff is to go with Superior Waterway Services. If you go up a little more, Georgia, I think you're the one controlling the slides.
No, it's me.
Okay, go up a little
Georgia
more.
doesn't, and she's not logged in.
Okay, that's the dates and stuff, keep going. These are the, Superior was 113, and Solitude was 98, and Premier Lakes was 111. Those were the bottom three from a cost standpoint. And because of the ranking you see there on the spreadsheet, Superior came out number one, even though they were not low bid. Okay? And Jim's going to come, Lathan wants to go to the Board of Supervisors just so they understand how come Superior, even though they were not low bid, came out on top.
It isn't,
Okay.
we don't have to take the low bid, it's the lowest priced, most responsible bidder.
Well, that's why we had the criteria.
Yep.
And that's why we had the criteria. And I'll tell you, the primary thing from a criteria standpoint, that was the difference. Right now, Superior and Solitude are both current lake maintenance vendors for us. One does some of the newer lakes and one does the older lakes. When you go look at the lakes we have problems with are all underneath Solitude. I think they oversprayed or something, they killed a lot of littorals, and we have remediation on those lakes because of, so that was into the criteria, and some of the reports they do that they give us monthly are not at the same level. So those were the two of the areas, but so you know, I know Marty, you like the numbers, and so do you, Ed. The 113 per year, if you looked at, I don't know if they got the 5 years, yeah, 5 years in the attachment, is compared to today, our budget is 134 per year. So we are saving, because of the bid process, we are saving money.
30 grand a year.
Yeah, and it locks them in for 3 years, and then there's also 5 years. So we've really locked in Superior with this process for 5 years would give what prices per year in them. So we save money, and we're going with a known vendor, and we locked in prices for 5 years. So I feel pretty good about the process.
So who developed the criteria?
The selection committee, the SAC, the 4 members of the selection criteria. But Gateway had criteria that they started with because of some of their bids that they had done.
It's pretty generic.
Yes, well, and we also using the same criteria going forward with the 2 ITQs that are out there that came back yesterday. It had the same spreadsheet in there.
So it's going to be an ongoing sort of a process you're going to do with a lot of different bids.
Right.
And the other 2 subsystems are doing the same thing.
I think the thing is, a few contracts recently went against the recommendation of staff and went with low bid because they didn't have criteria in place. So after that, they put criteria in place so that it could be, that it was subject, you know what I mean?
Do you need a motion from the board?
Yes, to recommend going with
So I'll
Superior.
make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors accepting the Superior Waterway Services contract.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Doug, there's 2 biotech consultings, one 11,000 and one 699.
The 11th, it's the same bid. It's that they screwed up when they filled out the form and they came back and corrected it.
Which was their bid, 11,699?
No, it was not 11,000. They, for what, I don't know what they did wrong, but they did not fill out the forms properly and they came back. And the 169 is what their bid should have been. I think there's a revised one in there with the ones, well, you know, it's revised because you've seen the 169.
When I looked at it, I saw the 699, I was like.
Yeah, but there's another attachment which had the revised updated ones in it. Okay?
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Unanimous.
I was just like,
Budget.
Budget.
and let's not look at this one because it changed about 12 times between when this was published and what actually went to the board today. So what I'm gonna do is pull up your budget here. So this is what was presented to the board of supervisors today for your budget,
Okay.
and was approved today.
I just want to point out a few things as we go along.
So there, well, I can point out some stuff.
Don't scroll down, scroll back up to the top. The interest on investments historically, they've just budgeted $10,000, and then anything we get in interest above that is extra cash that we have. But to try to moderate the increases, they up that to 100,000, which is more in line with what we've been getting in interest.
And we did the same thing on the gateway side because we're consistently well over what we budget. So we were trying to, Stephen Blue and I spent an hour combing through every line on your budget, Gateway's budget, and the enterprise fund budget yesterday. So we're trying to figure out where we can bring things more in line, whether it was up or down or whatever we need to do.
Chelsea, did I hear you say that the Board of Supervisors has already approved this?
Yeah, because it's Laura, but
Oh, Lord, sorry.
we had a meeting this morning. The board had their meeting this morning because it's by statute, it needs to be done by the 15th. And so they had to do it today. So please, it's the high water mark. This is not the final version.
Oh, okay,
So
okay,
this is,
thank you.
the final version won't be set until after we have our public hearing at the end of, in August. So
Okay,
this is
thank you.
this is the version that was approved as the high water mark by the board this morning.
Version 3.
Version 4,
4.
Unpublished version 4.
yes.
Does this one go out to the public? Does this one get?
This one is what will be posted on our website.
It will be posted.
Yes.
And everybody
Until-
gets their letter of what the.
And then the letters will
increases
go
are.
out in about a month. The letters will go out.
And that's before the revisions.
Well, if there's further revisions, yes. Okay, so that was the first change there. And then down, well, that was actually the only change, but these numbers I make, they get calculated based on the budget. So down in this part, we didn't change anything in here, this stayed the same. The next change would be under the operational admin services. The Board of Supervisors at their meeting last week voted to give a pool of $100,000 in total to allow increases in pay ranges, not salaries, but pay ranges for the positions. So we spread those out, assuming that everyone would get it, because that's what we do even with the merit, even though everyone doesn't get all of the merit, we just assume everyone will get it. So this is your portion. It's distributed the same way as the rest of the salaries are. So of the $100,000 that was in the pool, $13,341 of it goes to Pelican. So the other 87,000 is split between enterprise and general fund and Parks and Rec, which is very small. So that's in addition to this budget that was not there in the board packet or in yours, because this was added after last week. So none of these other things here changed. These should all be the same. I may have tweaked some stuff if anything I went down. Operating expenses, I believe this area stayed the same. This is what we had talked about with you guys as Ppac.
Nothing's really
So
changed.
this didn't really change. Safety and security, I mean, this all stayed the same. So the only line that, now that since this was set as the high water mark, the only thing that we really need to talk about is when we get down into this section down here. So this number here, this $454,211, Pelican's 14% of the admin building totals $961,011. You have $506,800 in bond funds. That's from the original bond issues. The shortfall is this $454,211. When you met last month.
Go ahead, Peggy.
Oh, no, I was just, from the bond, we've got a 100% increase, basically, for the admin building. From what the bond was.
Almost, yes.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it was estimated for the bond at about 3.5 million or something, and now it's at 6.9,
6.8, 6.9.
6.87 or something.
Say seven.
Crazy.
So it's almost
Okay, keep
double
going.
the cost.
Okay, so, this $454,211 is the difference between the portion that's your 14% and the bonds that you already have. This shortfall, you guys talked about at your last meeting in May, that you did not want to use reserves to fund it for purposes of the high water mark. You wanted to have it in the assessments. I can tell you that right now, actually, I will show you, because you're being Missouri today, so I will show you. Here is your assessments, and I can't really make this, I can make it a little bigger. This is your assessments right now. Let's see, this is, single family is the top line, you're these lines right here. This is your single family and multifamily. So you're at 1261.96 versus 1120. This is with the $454,000 being assessed. You're at 1261.96 versus 1120, which is 11.2% increase, or 1148.17 versus 993 for multifamily, which was a 13.5% increase. Now, if I go over here and I take off,
Well, and that's.
So the $260,000,
it's 400.
the $260,000 that we have not spent in fiscal year 2025 remains in reserves.
Correct, because it was never
And
assessed.
we're only talking about 26 budgeted money, right?
Correct. So I just want to show
Is
you.
that the additional 450,000
No,
or?
that's,
Or
that's
is
the
that-
total, because you did not assess that $265,000 last year. You chose to take it out of reserves, and we haven't touched it yet. So.
Okay.
It basically, it never happened, because you had it in the top and we deducted it in the bottom, so it never happened. It's still sitting in your
So-
reserves.
This is more
Got it, okay.
transparent.
Yes. So what'll happen,
It's
I just want to show, because everybody was talking about the effect of the assessment methodology. So if I take that one number out, which is the thing that you have control over, and I take this and I zero this out, and then I go back to the sheet, you are now at a negative. Your assessments actually go down this year. It's not a tremendous amount of money, but it actually goes down. Even with the addition of.
That's not with the bond and the total assessment, that's just the.
Well, that would be if you choose to fund that with your reserves and not assess it.
No,
So,
No, we need to
because
assess.
they're already being assessed for the bond. There's another sheet that includes all the other assessments.
It
No,
still
we
goes
shouldn't
down.
take- We shouldn't take it out of reserves, we should assess it. so
It
that
still goes down,
We're
it's the same.
transparent on what the admin building is gonna cost the residents of Pelican.
Mhm.
But I'm just showing, because there was all this angst about the assessment methodology and how it's gonna make your assessments go up, and it actually made your assessments go down, because a big chunk of your stuff moved over here, and now everybody's paying for it. Even with the Parks and Rec and the other things that you're paying for, assuming that you were not gonna have that assessment and offsets with reserves, this shows the impact of the assessment methodology, and your assessments actually went down.
Okay.
So,
So what
I just
were the
wanted to
things-
show that.
Or put it back,
Things
put it
that-
No,
back.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
Let me,
I'm with you, Marty.
or put it back in and show where it's at.
That doesn't pass the stink test.
What the high water mark budget basically has us fully funding the additional admin building cost with assessments in 26.
Correct.
In the 25 budget, it was $240-some thousand was what we thought the cost was going to be. And last year, we chose $265,000. We chose to use our surplus reserves to moderate any increase, to keep increases flat. So we used that to keep our increases flat for this year. They went up 3% because of the bond was added on, but our 002 budget increase was flat. That money is not going to be spent this year. That's why on the other sheet, I show that with that not being spent, that goes back into our
Stays in reserve.
unbalanced, and we basically,
Yeah.
at the end of the year, we should have at least $750,000 in undesignated reserves. The question, this is the budget that will go out for the high water mark. Now, between now and 2 months from now, or whenever the final budget has to be approved, we have to decide as a group here how much of that we want to fund with reserves to reduce the increase.
If any, yeah. If any.
Yeah. And keeping in mind that, most of the people will already be seeing a decrease. Old Pelican residents will be seeing about 130 on average dollar decrease because of the bond payoff.
2013.
Next year.
2013.
So, that's just something that we have, over the next couple meetings, we can see how much we want of that, of the reserves that we want to use to moderate any increase and dampen the impact of the methodology change and the admin building and park construction.
So I think it's important not to dampen the impact, to
Well,
let everybody in Pelican realize.
What I was showing
how
you
much
is
it's
that
gonna
the
cost.
methodology is in your favor. It's this one line item that is causing your.
But
assessments
Laura, that's
to go
not
up.
true. If we hadn't paid off 2013, you'd be looking at different.
Some
numbers.
of Pelican would still see,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
I mean, in general, it is part of the new methodology is going to having us pay for this admin building, so that's a false equivalency. I don't even, let's not even waste time with that.
The new methodology doesn't have anything to do with it paying with the admin building.
Correct. Correct.
That was under the
Okay.
old methodology. That has nothing to do with the new methodology.
Okay, that's just poor budgeting. Okay, got it.
I'm not gonna argue that, yes.
Under the new methodology, Pelican residents are paying for a portion of the parks funds.
Right.
But with the new methodology and the baseline, Gateway residents are contributing significantly to the costs of Pelican roads and landscaping.
Yes, our gateway side went up and your stuff went down.
Yeah.
The methodology was in your favor.
So it's to about $560,000.
Yes.
Will that continue to be the case?
Yes, well, it'll vary year to year by the dollar amount, but I'm assuming yes,
Unless
because you
unless the
got,
methodology changes again.
yeah, well, you're paying 15%, you're getting a 0.15 of the Parks and Rec versus a 1, which the Gateway residents are, and you're getting the 55 plus reduced travel rate for the road assessments, where before you were getting the normal assessment when you were keeping them all in your O2, so.
But-
The new methodology is definitely in your favor.
But the one number, Laura, from what you said, they were going down, and that's true, we are going down.
Yep,
But if you back out the 2013 bond, then there will be an increase. If you were trying to look at 1 year versus another, and you kept that bond payoff in there, even though you're not gonna pay it, that would give you a truer reflection.
it's about $90 more.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
that's,
because it went down about $46, I think it was about 90, it was like $130 for the bond, so it only went up about $90.
so, that number reflects the impact of the
But,
methodology.
but you can't say that solely because you did raise some of your budget items. as
Understand
well,
that, that's
so it's
different.
not,
Yeah,
I still say it's in your favor.
it is, it truly is.
I mean, to get back to what Ed was saying, though, in the next month and a half, though, we are going to have to really focus on what
Yeah,
is
that's
our
one
priority.
item. Yep,
Is our priority going to be keeping it transparent, or is our priority going to be lessening the tax implication to the residents? I mean, that's something each of us have to balance out within our ethics, so.
you'll have until your August meeting will be your last chance, because the public hearing is the Thursday after your meeting, so.
Right.
Bob, again, if we end up wherever you determine, and you come up at a 4.3% decrease or 3 point whatever, I would advocate that we zero that out and whatever those dollars are, go into reserves, because we didn't fund reserves in 25,
Or 6.
not yet in 6. but I think we should. I really hesitate to see the group, for 13 years, we've always put it in. So rather than give somebody a $10 refund or whatever, we won't go maybe the full 200,000 back in reserve, but I think we ought to put something there. Just a nickel opinion.
And I do want to point out that you also do have the option, you don't have a lot of interest in your bond fund, because you didn't have as large of a bond, but you are able to use the interest that was earned in that bond fund to offset some of the cost of the projects. It has to go towards the project, so I think
Isn't that included in the 506? I thought they included some
no,
of
that's
those
the
bond
actual amount of the
proceeds.
bond. That's strictly the bonds. There's no interest in there. That's the amount of bonds that you guys are paying for. So that was your portion of it. So there is some interest available in your bond account that you can use to offset if you give me, I can find it.
And if the admin building cost increases, we're liable for that too, right?
Right.
Right. And the operating cost.
So this is Patricia, and of course I'm new to the game. Is there any chance that we could have a workshop and talk about this budget and how we would want to reflect any changes on it sometime the 1st of August or sometime?
We've got two meetings between now and then.
Yeah, but I need more than just this kind of conversation to really understand what's going on.
You guys have, it's 45, let me see if I added them together.
Unless it's possible for 1 or 2 people to sit down. with
You
me
can
and
come in
walk
with me
through
and I'm
it.
happy to walk through it with you.
Okay, so there's my opportunity.
So our
Okay,
next
thank you.
meeting is July 10th.
Let's see, as of the end of September 2024, in your 308 account, which is your bond account, you had $44,894 in interest, so 45, and you've had interest so far this year too.
So 45,000, you said?
That was just for fiscal 24, let me find what it is so far this year. And then you've got another 14,000 in there, so $58,000 in interest that you can use.
So the 454 becomes 400.
Yeah,
But you're liable to have cost overruns too, so.
Again.
Do you think?
Hey, comment with that, Ed. We did that number, that all-in number does include a 10% contingency.
Yeah.
So we've
Well, that's
accounted
always good.
for that.
Well, as long as they stay in that, yeah.
And my only thoughts right now are, we paid off the bond, so our capital reserves went from around 3 million to 2.3 million. The 2.3 million is based on our reserve study is probably still more than adequate. And we are funding our capital projects, the ponds program and the road programs through our normal budget. We're not funding the capital reserves and pulling money out of capital reserves. So that's kind of a wash.
with the exception of the 400,000 that you're gonna use and then pay it back in
Then pay
27.
it back, yeah. We're using that capital reserves as kind of a bank to level
Borrow
off
it.
some of
Short-term loan.
I've been tracking this and, if we use, my only concern is if we use too much of our undesignated, which at the end of the year might be around 750,000. It's to subsidize this at some point, we lose some of our flexibility down the road of things. So it might, kind of in the Bob's caution that we.
Yeah, we're gonna repair the
We
boardwalk.
don't go too far
Somewhat.
on some of this and take some of those undesignated, I don't want to pull down capital reserves any further, and I'd hate to see us pull our undesignated reserves down too far too. So, but I'm not sure what the level should be, and that's where we need to think about it and talk to people and over the next couple months.
Exactly.
So when you removed that number, it was a decrease in cost for every individual. We don't necessarily have to have that entire number, and so that we get
I can
to a
figure out to
zero.
zero it, yeah.
To zero it out.
Yep. I mean, that's completely up to you if that's what you want.
Right.
I
You know,
mean,
if that's what you decide, then
To
that's
me,
what
that
will
makes a lot
happen.
of sense. I don't think if you go below, they're gonna expect that that's gonna happen every year.
And I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, and to me, you zero it out so that they can say that it's not gonna be an increase for you, but it's,
That alone is a 3% gain.
yeah,
Everybody's expecting a 3%.
yeah. So my guess, my thought is that we kind of take a look at that, strong look at that.
Yeah, right now, they're expecting either an 11 or a 13% increase, so, based on what was approved today. So, I mean, that's completely up to you, whatever you want us, that's what we'll make happen, so it's your budget.
Can you bring back a number, what it would cost us to get it to a zero?
Yeah, I can play around with it.
Yeah.
Chelsea, or Laura, could you also come back with a 3%?
Yep,
Thank you.
I mean, we've been, last year, we kept our budgets flat, our subcommittee budgets flat, and we absorbed about a 70% increase in increased admin costs. This year, that admin cost increase is about 40% and we basically kept our budgets again neutral and flat. So we're already keeping the assessments flat, we're absorbing the admin increases by using our reserve dollars to keep our assessments flat.
well, landscaping, 200 and something thousand came over here, so that's not flat.
But we reduced, we reduced our assessment that much, but the money came out of our budget too, so it was neutral. The remaining budget was neutral.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I do, it's my job,
All right, I think we killed
that's
this.
easy.
Okay. Well, there's no further discussion on it, any other?
That's it, that's our last item.
Is there anything else on the agenda?
There is just member items and reports and anything that you want to have on your next agenda.
Marty, you have
See,
anything?
you're really not.
Can we check to see who's all gonna be there?
Yeah, that's important. Who's gonna be
Ed,
here?
can you,
July,
who's gonna be there?
10th?
July 10th.
No.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I'll be here.
I will not.
So
I will not.
Marty
I don't think John will go there.
and Ed will be
Less than
here.
what about time?
Yeah.
Move this number to take to get the crowd.
I'll have Georgia reach out, so Patricia.
Yeah,
knows.
please do.
And Peggy, you'll be able to be online or not?
I will be online. Yes, I will contribute,
Okay,
but not to the forum.
Extraordinary
if
circumstances.
we have a quorum, yes.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a quorum, you can always use it as a workshop. So,
I definitely want to have the lighting
the
status of the
FPL, okay.
FPL, and if we have,
So Laura, we can have a forum?
I don't know, I'll have to have George reach out to the people who weren't here besides Peggy. So,
I think Tom said he would be back.
I thought John was, but maybe not for July. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I'll have George reach out. We'll let you know.
Tom is back next
Okay.
week.
but it would be even with street lights, if
I have a note to have an
if you
update.
can give us
Yep.
an idea of potential start
Yep.
date.
We'll
Well,
have
we
that
need,
for
we
you.
need either Tom or John for quorum, that's.
Why, who's not being here?
Patricia won't be here.
Okay.
I'm out.
Peggy won't be there.
And Peggy
Yep.
will be here.
Is anybody else?
Peggy will be online.
Online,
Oh, sure.
Tom will be in town.
but you have to be here for a quorum.
You have to physically be here.
Correct.
You might be able to
Yeah,
vote,
so-
but if you're not here, we won't have quorum.
Correct.
Has to be physical.
Has to be physical. There has to be four people from Ppac in this room.
We have one other item.
Okay, I really appreciate a few minutes of your time. I did not get this onto the agenda, but I have, I will pass out, this is a draft of the communications goals and objectives program that was mentioned I think Laura's gonna try to get
Yep,
it
I'm
up.
gonna forward it to the board. Boardroom here. And I'll forward it.
And have one. And I did time it, so it only takes about a minute and a half to read this out loud, so would that be possible for everyone to,
I think we'd be able to squeeze it in.
what was that? I didn't get it.
Another chance.
Go on.
Go on.
So anyway, the whole point of what I would like to accomplish with this is to create a more positive image of Ppac and GSCDD among our Pelican Preserve residents. So the objectives would be to enhance homeowners' understanding of the history and ongoing role of GSCDD and Ppac in improving residents' quality of life and property values by maintaining and enhancing the community's infrastructure, which is owned by the GSCDD, through the effective and efficient use of the residents' non-ad valorem taxes. To inform homeowners about the similarities and differences between Ppac and PPCA, along with their respective volunteer advisory committees. To recognize Ppac subcommittee volunteers and the important roles that they fulfill, including recommending actions and, once approved, researching and overseeing outside contractors, responsibilities that would otherwise be handled by GSCDD staff at a greater expense to Pelican Preserve residents. 4, explain current and future infrastructure activities as they are approved to keep residents informed of developments and reassure them that Ppac is upholding high standards for the benefit of all residents. 5, provide residents multiple opportunities to obtain more information and ask questions about Ppac and the community's GSCDD-owned infrastructure. And then on the back side of that one page, which takes about a minute, the action steps that I would like to follow. Discuss and get approval from you all. Get approval from PPCA leadership regarding the use of the KW communications channels. Develop a unique banner for Ppac to be used in communications. Develop a value statement definition of Ppac to be used in communications. To develop Ppac communications avenues for residents to send in questions and concerns, in addition to what they currently have through the GSCDD. As an example, we could use PP advisory.
We already have one email at the district.
Okie doke. Review and influence and edit messages from GSCDD to the Pelican Preserve residents. Review, update, and maintain the PP website information on Ppac and GSCDD. Add new copy monthly to the newsletter that goes out to our community. Issue regular bulletins that will be distributed through KW's communications channels and have them archived for future reference. Hold town halls when appropriate. And then I have listed a group of possible bulletins. Of course, the first one I'd like to recommend would be the ponds are getting ready for hurricane season. Number 2 is the preserve is becoming ADA compliant. Number 3 would be the approval of the new street lights from FPL. And these are just examples of what I have come up with already. As an example, here's what I would recommend. Now here's showing a developed logo, which is basically taking some photos of the work of the infrastructure within Pelican Preserve that is the responsibility of GSCDD. There's a picture of the boardwalk. And this is not in color, picture of the boardwalk. There's a picture of some trees and a monument at the beginning of the community, and then there's a picture of a pond. As examples, and here's a write-up that would be appropriate, I think, for the ponds group, and this was with the help of Doug. He came up with this. So this is kind of an example of what I would hope to be able to do. I don't know what, I'm walking away from the mic, I'm sorry.
You're in the area, Mike, so you're good.
Okay, I don't know what the next step is, whether this has to be, this is a pretty broad-based thing. I presume this has to be looked at and approved by the committee. But anyway, let me know what your thoughts are at this moment, what the next steps would be.
Well, first of all, this is lovely. I really like the thought that we're going to pay attention to getting the key points about who we are, what we do, and our subcommittees that work so darn hard for the community. So I like this a lot.
I'll second that 100%.
Yeah.
The-
What-
I know we
to
have, I know we have to improve our communication and try to educate the people over Pelican about a lot of different things. Because there's a severe lack of understanding over there. And I don't know, if it's kind of a fine balance because it's coordinating things with the community association and
Here.
public affairs at
Yeah, you have to work with
Gateway.
Randy here.
And even with this, like I said with the picture, whatever the logo or whatever we adopt, it's probably got to have the new Gateway trees
The broccoli.
incorporated into it.
Okay,
You
okay,
know, their new
Our new
logo.
logo.
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. And some of this stuff is timely to start getting out, I would imagine.
And I'm hoping that us working together, and especially with the communication, like you guys being involved in the process, that will open some of the doors that have been closed to us, as far as we've been told, if you send it to this email address, we will disperse it to the community, and we are finding out that that's not happening. So I'm, they don't want them to have email fatigue is what I was told. So if the communications are coming from Ppac, which is Pelican residents, about things going on in your community, even though it's in conjunction with the district, I'm hoping that that will help those actually get out into the community.
That's going to be the hill to climb, is to get PPCA on board with us. We've been adversarial for the last 2 years, let's not ignore that, and we need to get in lockstep.
I've had a brief conversation already with Faye Formoso about this, and she understands what I am trying to do into improving the relationshect between the two. I mean,
That's the challenge.
Yep, well, they've been telling us that for 2 years.
Yeah,
So.
we can't ignore the fact that the GSEDD owns a lot of the assets within Pelican Reserve and are responsible for them. And that should be communicated on a regular basis, I think.
Well,
Yeah, so let's definitely work with Randy and you, or.
I'd like to just, if I could add a topic to one of your things.
Absolutely.
There seems to be a lot of confusion about the gate.
The gate.
The gate. Because a lot of people are under the impression that you live in a gated community. You don't. I always say it's not a gated community, it's a community with a gate. So there's a lot of people that don't understand that the roads are actually public and that we can't stop anyone from coming in. So, I mean, they can absolutely ask for IDs, and the gates are certainly a deterrent for people who probably shouldn't be there. But there's a lot of misinformation because your community is rather unique in that aspect. So I said, that's always my quote. You don't live in a gated community, you live in a community with a gate.
And there's a lot of people that think that gate access folks are some high qualified policemen that could.
Right, roam around everywhere and check things.
Yeah.
No,
So you're-
limited.
Not gonna come.
And they're not security officers, they're access control employees.
Okay,
So
I think that's a
your
really
community
excellent one.
association has also gotten rid of the newsletter and made it fully electronic. So now people don't read it at all.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, but that saves a lot of money.
That's a
Yeah,
problem.
I
for the
understand
whole
It takes a lot of
It
money
saves a
for
lot of
us
money,
too
but-
when we stop.
But it's not an effective form of communication anymore.
No. But I think within our ability to direct people to the website and where we have a position on the website and keep that up to date, I mean, we just, as much as we can help people find
Teach
information
them
about
about
us.
see, click, fix,
Mhm.
how they can put in concerns.
Yep.
There's a lot of topics, it's an unending list
Sure,
of
if
topics.
you get together with, you can talk to Jennifer from Safety and Security. Sure, there's a lot of things that they would like to get out there as well.
Okay. And you call them access control
There's,
personnel?
they're gateway, yeah, they're access control personnel, they're not security.
Yeah.
Because you can't, you
So-
can't secure it. It's-
At
they're
one,
So let me
access.
just
at
say,
one time, it was agreed that that would be a half a page of the newsletter that would rotate from subcommittee to subcommittee.
So once a quarter, they could have something in there, yeah.
But it's been kind of one standard.
That's why I'd like to.
That's because I don't think anyone
Yeah.
should, I don't think anyone has been submitting anything. So yeah, if you work with Randy, and that way we can help, get your template set up for the, and all that, and that we can just change the message.
Okay, I don't know who.
you know, the,
Randy, I'll send you his information.
Okay.
He's our public information officer.
the direct feedback that I receive is the only thing they care about is how much the taxes are gonna go up.
Right,
And
exactly.
they don't care what Gateway does.
Yeah, but.
And, you know, I
it's-
hand out pamphlets at the Broccoli Center, and they leave them on the table. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't even care how
Well-
much the taxes go up. It's
They
either
probably- they probably-
association.
How much the HOA stuff goes
Can't
up,
stop
yeah.
trying.
I'm very impressed with,
Or something.
I'm just super impressed with how much our volunteers do in these committees. I mean, they do full-on work. They're not just
Absolutely.
advising people. They're not just recommending. They're out
Oh,
there
yeah.
doing the work. This is maintaining our community at a level, at a price, at a cost-effective price. I think people just need to know that. And somehow by reiterating that, I think it's helpful. We're doing the best we can to keep the taxes down.
Peggy,
Yep.
Question is, would there be any role for Circle in this?
Yes.
As you guys think about rolling it out, that might be,
Incorporated, that.
be able to incorporate this if,
Yeah,
And so
we,
why-
I've already
I don't know
assigned a
enough about it, I
space to
just-
us. Yeah, no, and I will be working with Patricia as we move forward to figure out how we want to have this space in Circle useful, Ppac.
So Laura,
Yeah,
how many of the flyers do we have left?
I don't know, that'd be a Randy question, I don't keep tabs on those.
I'm sure there's probably, let's
There's a
see,
few
we ordered
boxes. I think there's a
3,000,
few
so
boxes over
we
there.
probably have 2,500 left.
And Patricia, you didn't even touch on GIS yet, and that's a whole other Pandora's box that I'm welcoming. We need to teach our residents that it's available.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Yeah, that's a
Patricia,
good
So-
one.
So can we get some sort of a guidance for Patricia then as she moves forward? Do we want her to just go ahead and start drafting these and working with the individuals? And I mean, there's no clearance from my mind. I trust her writing ability.
I guess my suggestion would be meet with Randy, work on your template, and then he can fill you in on what avenues you're already trying to use to get the information out there. And then you guys can work together to draft a message, and then I say you guys can see,
Let's make this an agenda item for July.
okay?
And as you work with the subsystem chairman,
yeah.
I
So-
very much appreciate everybody's look and agreement to the kind of the value statement I have here, defining what these various people are, the Ppac and everything, and just really reiterating how the GSCDD got involved in the first place and
Yeah,
when
that's
did
good.
Ppac get initiated in order and what their role was.
I think the
You have
document you
have
provided
the,
is,
what are they, the mission statement, whatever the document is that created Ppac and what its role is and all the
What's the
subcommittees.
resolution?
it's a resolution of the board.
Is it on the website?
There's a formal
Yeah,
resolution.
I think.
There
that's-
is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It says like how many people are in each one, why they're
come up
formed,
with the
their
old O&M
responsibility.
agreement, that's got a lot of that stuff in there.
It used to, well, I had some of it.
I've got a copy of it,
Yep.
probably get to it.
Okay.
I think your points are outstanding. However, it's an uphill battle to get people to listen.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
worth the
Well,
effort.
You can lead the horse to water.
Worth the effort.
But it would be nice
You can't
to
give up.
get something
Yeah,
kind
we
of
gotta keep-
organized in motion before the next high season.
Right.
You know, so
Yeah.
Right, no, I think this is great. Thank you. Because I think you and Randy, in conjunction with you guys in the subcommittees, I think this is great.
So I'd like to thank Patricia for her efforts.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah.
So I have 3 things for next meeting then. I have the FPL late update, the budget, with the $0 out, with the break even and then the 3% increase, and then the follow up on this item.
Can I chime in real quick?
Go
Can
ahead,
you guys hear
Chelsea.
me?
Yeah,
I just want to give a brief update on the FPL. So in talking with Eric, I don't know what changed on their back end, but you guys approved the $250,000 for the project. Apparently, the removal of private utilities should not have been included. So we're just going to contract directly with the vendor. Your dollar amount is not going to change. So instead of cutting FPL a check for $250,000, it'll be $150 to FPL and $100 to the vendor to remove the poles.
I told him that earlier, but you were not.
Okay, just making sure.
Laura,
Laura, can you also add that I would like an update on C-Click Fix integration with outside vendors? We're continuing to have issues with our ponds ticketing, so I want to
Okay.
move this if we can.
All
I
right,
can give a brief update on that now if you'd like.
Sure, I'd love that.
So today, obviously with Daniel leaving, and then Paul coming in, we had some transition. Today, our Stephanie, our stormwater environmentalist, met with Metower. They're going to be our guinea pig vendor for the ticketing system to mirror what you guys do on your side. I wanted to wait until we got through the pond services RFP and find out who the vendor would be. But we're going to work out any kinks with Metower. That way, when your new vendor, or if the board approves whoever you guys just recommended earlier, we can get that rolled out with them.
Excellent. That's
you
good
still want me to
progress.
leave that
Thank
on,
you.
right? And then we'll just give you an update on how it's going next month.
Sounds perfect.
Anything else for a next agenda?
A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I'm in the meeting, but I just stepped out.
Second. All those in favor?
Second, I want to say, aye.
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
So I'm gonna be